What Happened in Alaska? November 1, 2020 by Anna von Reitz. On October 18 of 1867, the landmass of Alaska was transferred to the United States ownership. The Municipal Corporation bought it using our money and acting in our names, from the Russian Czar who was land-rich and cash-poor. William H. Seward was one of the sneaky duplicitous men surrounding Lincoln and was part of his cabinet. After Lincoln's assassination, he continued to serve under President Andrew Johnson, and it was in the immediate aftermath of the Civil War that Seward's acquisitive instincts led to buying Alaska for the then princely sum of $7.2 million, actual American silver dollars. Thereafter, Alaska languished for many years as a territorial possession of the United States and was treated as an insular state similar to Guam or Puerto Rico. The expenses of the government of Alaska were paid by the Territorial Corporation doing business as the United States of America, Incorporated, from 1867 to 1906, when this bankrupt Scottish commercial corporation entered receivership, and the Pope's municipal version, the United States of America, Incorporated, took over until 1930 when it was bankrupted too. By the mid-1950s the federal government subcontractors were desperate to offload their expenses, so some flashy attorneys from Washington, D.C., began influencing their brethren here in Alaska and talking up statehood with the local politicians. By 1958, the deal was done and everyone loudly proclaimed that now, Alaska was a state, but as we now know, that wasn't really true. What happened in law and in fact is that Alaska switched from being a U.S. territory to being a Confederate state, a territorial state of state and municipal state of state, and was enrolled as such by the U.S. Congress. The immediate impact was that the people of Alaska became directly responsible for all of Alaska's expenses, and lots of foreign corporations came knocking on the door, mainly seeking to exploit Alaska's natural resources. Alaska remained in this quasi-territorial municipal status for decades more, with the actual Alaskans being disinherited and their assets, including their good names and private property, being cashiered in a state trust. As soon as the Alaskans who attended the statehood convention walked out the door, they went missing, and the new territorial and municipal state of state officers took over for them. Sound familiar by now? Yes, Alaskans are the actual owners and are the presumed donors of the state trust, but we don't know where they are. They just disappeared right after the statehood convention and left us in charge. Right. Alaska couldn't be an actual state of the Union, because like all the other states formed during and after the Civil War, that is, most of the states in the western half of our country, Alaska couldn't be enrolled as an actual state because the states of the Union weren't in session to accept and enroll Alaska as a state of the Union. So from January 3 of 1959 to September 30 of 2020, Alaska remained, like the other western states, as a Confederate state, still in this odd quasi-territorial custodianship and still being referred to as an enclave of the United States, even though Alaskans almost universally fell for the ruse and thought that they were living in an actual state of the Union. But somewhere in the midst of this dim and deliberately misconstrued and ugly history, the truth remained. The Scottish interloper operating as the United States of America, Incorporated, that is, bought Alaska using our money and in our names, so Alaska belongs to us, to our states and our federation of states, and not to the United States. Possession by pirates does not change ownership. By 2020, our populace woke up again, realized the situation, and assembled the actual state assemblies of the states of the Union, all 50 of them, to address the situation and our miscreant federal subcontractors. In September of 2020 the state assemblies of the states of the Union which existed prior to 1860 were polled for a roll call vote. The issue, whether or not to acknowledge, accept, and enroll the states that were formed during and after the Civil War as states of the Union and as full members of our unincorporated federation, the United States of America. The answer, yes. After 61 years as an inchoate Confederate state, which is actually a state of state, Alaska is finally an actual state of the Union, and Alaska's people are enabled to exercise all the powers and prerogatives of an actual state. As dizzying as this circumstance is, it pales by comparison to what other such states have endured. Washington, for example, has been waiting to obtain full statehood status since 1889, and West Virginia has been waiting since 1863. There should be ticker tape parades and confetti and joy in the streets. Americans from coast to coast should be putting up bunting and singing and shouting. Instead, a deathly quiet prevails, and a peace as final as winter has settled over the land which finally belongs to Alaskans, and which now lies in their full possession, with no further excuses for territorial or municipal custodianship. The Civil War is over, and we forbid our foreign subcontractors and their employees from ever starting any such conflict on our shores again. The other principals who are parties to the constitutions have received their marching orders as our subcontractors, and it is only a matter of time until the word leaks out. All the presumed donors of the state trusts are now called to join their lawful state assemblies, not district assemblies reserved for U.S. citizens and municipal citizens of the United States, and help direct the course of their state government and their American government going forward. Go to www.theamericanstatesassembly.net to contact your state assembly coordinators and hop through the hoops necessary to reclaim your identity and your inheritance as an American state national or American state citizen, including your land jurisdiction assets.
Links to Anna's articles and resources can be found in the video description box. Thank you for subscribing, liking and sharing.